All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of the Molds That Make Fatherhood. I'm not even doing an intro for this one because this one is just me. I just wanted to do a mid-season recap of some of the things that I've learned so far, talking to the guest on the show, on a podcast. It's been amazing so far, even though we're only 7 episodes in. I feel like I've learned so much from the fathers that I've been talking to, and I'm so grateful for the people who've been on the podcast so far and everybody that's listening. So I want to thank you again for taking the time to listen. I decided that we're going to do 15 episodes in this season. So for episode 7, here's the mid-season review, just some things that I've learned so far and just some nuggets, some things that I wanted to share. And I'll just get right into it. And the first thing I wanted to share that I feel like we need to consider as parents from the very first episode where I spoke with my father. One of the things that I learned is that some of us feel like we were robbed in childhood. Some of us feel like that our parents could have done better. Some of us feel like our parents failed us. And what I wanted to say about that is that we have to give our parents some grace. Like our parents, and in most cases, they didn't have all the tools they needed to teach us the best way that they could. In a lot of cases, our parents were doing the best that they could with the tools that they were given. And I think it gets better by generation, trying to get better as a parent. We're evolving, we're trying to learn. And like I said, they were doing the best that they could in most cases. And I feel like as kids, like sometimes we unfairly judge our parents because we're personally invested in that situation. Um we got the brunt of that. We experienced trauma from some of us experienced trauma from our parents. And we're like, your job was to protect me, your job was to teach me, your job was to guide me, and you failed me. And you know, it's tough to think about that. And when I have to, one of the things that I think about when it comes to my parents is, I have to think about myself. And I think about the fact that I'm not perfect as a parent. And, you know, nobody can expect me to be. So how could I have expected that from my parents? And I think that where some of us get upset, and some of the friends that I've been talking to about their childhood and about their relationship with their parents is that there's a lot of our parents who they don't really want to take accountability. And that's something that I feel like, we have to look at, and we have to make sure we're doing as parents when we do things that we would rather not do, or something that we would say is out of character or out of the person that we want to be as parents, is that we have to take accountability for that. I know a lot of parents in the generation before us, they say, you know what, I did the best I could, and that's it. But can you at least acknowledge that some of the things you've done, or some of the things you did, or it caused me a little bit of trauma, or it made my life a little bit more difficult than it had to be, as an adult, as going through life as a kid, going into an adult and becoming a parent, some things and some tools that I didn't have. Can you at least acknowledge that? I think that's where some of us get hurt because, we know our parents aren't perfect, but some of our parents don't want to acknowledge the fact that they weren't. Um, but give your parents some grace. And the second thing I want to say is give yourself some grace. You're not perfect either. There's no manual to how you're supposed to be a parent. There's no guide to this. There's a lot of books out there written, and that's proof in itself that there's no one right way. There's tons of books out there. Everybody has different opinions on how you should do things. And you know what? No one book is going to give you all the right answers because all of our kids are different. Many of us have 2 different kids or 3 different kids or however many kids, and they're all different. They don't have the same personality. No one way of talking to them works, all the time. And our kids are constantly evolving and changing. Like the way I talk to my son is not the same way I speak to my daughter because they're polar opposites. So I'm not going to get how to parent them out of a book. Yeah, I'll get some great advice. Yeah, I'll get some good ideas, and I'll take those things with me and I'll put them in my toolbox. But it's not going to work all the time, and that's just life. So give yourself some grace for not being a perfect parent because you're never going to be. And but just remember that When you're giving yourself some grace, it doesn't give you a free pass to not be better. You have to constantly be analyzing and looking at yourself and your own actions and own behavior and feel like and question yourself. Check yourself. You're like, all right, is this who I want to be as a parent? Is this who I want to be as a person? Give yourself some grace, but also hold yourself accountable. It's necessary. We have to do those things. I'm looking at my notes here, right? So the third thing I have written down is that we have to remember that our kids have opinions and our kids have feelings. And our kids' opinions and feelings are very valid, no matter what age they are. I feel like as parents, we feel like we know what's best for our kids. And in most cases, we do. But it doesn't mean that we don't get to hear our kids out. I know if you come from where I come from and the upbringing I came from, that kids were meant to be seen and not heard. Like you stay in a child's place. Like children have their place. And in some respect, they do, but we have to be able to look at what place that is. They are very much little human beings and they very much have their own thoughts and feelings, and they should be free to express those. And our job as parents is to guide them through that process, to teach our kids how to express those feelings, expand their emotional vocabulary, how to express themselves in a way that's appropriate, in a way that prepares them for the world, for life, for future communication with other people. We have to do that. And with us, they have to be safe, that we should be their safe space to be able to express their thoughts and feelings, to be able to mess up, to be able to say things like out of pocket every now and then because they're not perfect. There are grown ass adults who don't know how to express their feelings appropriately, that lose their cool, that lose their temper, that say off color comments all the time because they don't know how to control themselves or their emotions. How can we expect our kids to do it all the time? We got to guide them through that. Or they become adults who don't know how to control their emotions, who don't know how to express themselves appropriately, who can't use the right words. So they throw things or get angry and lash out and hurt people. We got to be the ones that guide our kids through this process. Let them express their thoughts and their feelings in an appropriate fashion. The next thing I have written down is that we cannot make excuses. We've all been through shit. We all have our own experience, our own trauma. Right? Obviously, like that, if you heard that famous, like that Will Smith video where he talks about, fault and responsibility, right? It's not our fault. The things that we've been through, the things that we've experienced, the traumatic experiences that we've had in our lives, whatever happened in our life is not our fault. Most of the things that happened when we were younger, but it's damn sure our responsibility to do something about it. It's damn sure our responsibility to make it right, to heal from that trauma, to be better people. So do whatever you got to do to heal from your trauma if you have it. We all have it in some respect. Don't sit and say, don't be a victim, right? Because if you're a victim, then you raise kids who become victims, and you don't want to be that. You don't want to do that to your kids. Heal your trauma and don't let your shit spill over onto your kids unnecessarily. Don't make excuses. And say, oh, my parents did this and my parents did that, and I've been through this and I've been through that. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to keep complaining about it? You're going to keep being a victim? Or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to heal? Are you going to take some action? Because that's what we will teach our kids to do, right? To take appropriate action for things that happen to them. We can't go through life being victims. It doesn't serve anybody, you or your children. We got to play the hand we were dealt. And that's just a part of life. So deal with that shit. It ain't easy, but nobody ever said it was going to be. So just deal with it. The next thing I have is we got to be willing to accept feedback from our peers, from our partners, our spouses, and even from our kids. We got to be able to accept feedback. I've sat down with my kids and I've said, hey, what can we do better? Right? What can we all do better? Let's write it down. Tell me what daddy can do better. How can I be a better parent? Is there anything that I do that you don't like, that you wish I could do better? Like one of the times I was talking to my son, he was like, well, sometimes you cuss. You cuss at me. All right. And I don't like I cuss when I'm talking to him sometimes, but I don't call him names or no shit like that. But sometimes I cuss. I'm like when I'm upset or when he does something that bothers me and I'm talking to him, I'm trying to talk through it. Sometimes I cuss. And he don't like when I cuss because he know that's when I'm mad. He know that's when something upsets me. He know, like I'm starting to little boil over when I start to cuss, that it really bothers me. And I was like, you know what? If you don't like that, then I won't do that anymore. I'll try my best not to do that when I'm talking to you. I won't I won't cuss when I'm talking to you. Um, I'll still cuss from time to time, but just like, but not when I'm talking to him. And I'm not perfect, man. It's gonna slip out, man. It'll slip out every now and then, but I have to acknowledge his feelings and I have to take feedback from my son. If that's not the way he wants to be spoken to, then I gotta respect that. Like he's a human, like I said, he's a person, he has feelings. And he has a right to express that. And I gotta acknowledge it and then I gotta do better. But a lot of us didn't get that. A lot of us didn't get that growing up. So take that feedback. Allow yourself to be humble, have some humility. Like, you know what? I don't have it all figured out, and I'm willing to take feedback from whoever has it. You know who those people are in your life that you can trust with that feedback. That's not going to judge you. Utilize those people and get that feedback. Utilize your kids. And who would know better? They do know a little something, more than we like to give them credit for. What do I got? What else do I got here? So the next thing I have, right, is we got to be okay with uncertainty. And like I said, there's no rule book to this. There's no guide on how to parent your kids. And a lot of times we don't even know if what we're doing is having a good impact, a negative impact. We don't even know. We're just doing what we think is best at the time. And really, that's all we can do. And we just got to trust that sometimes we're not going to see the result. We just got to trust it. If we're doing our best and we're continuously growing and trying to learn and trying to be better and being accountable and reflecting on our own shit, everything that we've done, we got to trust that, it's going to be okay. The past few days, me and my son, we've been going at it. I don't know what's been going on or why tension has been high between me and my son. He's very opinionated and he says exactly what's on his mind. And just the past few days, like I said, we've had some disagreements and it's not been the best. And there's been times where I know he's gone to sleep and he wasn't in a good mood because we got into it a little back and forth right before bed. And I'm like, all right, what can I do? Like, and I knew he was frustrated with me. We were frustrated with each other. I get it. He hates to be told what to do. He hates to be, he feels like he has an opinion about everything. He has his own system and belief system and set of morals and beliefs. And I don't always agree with that. So the other night, I had he went to bed and I had some things to do. And sometimes my son sleeps on the floor in his room. I don't know. He just don't like sleeping in bed sometimes. Sometimes he just sleeps on the floor. It's weird to me. Like flat on his stomach too. No pillow. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, how can that be comfortable? We just sometimes that's comfortable with him. Whatever. Either way. He's sleeping on the floor, and I hate sleeping on the floor. I feel like I'm at the place where whenever I sleep on the floor, my body hurts the next day. I'm not at the age where sleeping on the floor is cool. So, but when I was done doing my work, I took my blankets and my pillow and I went and slept on my son's floor next to him. And, he didn't even know I was there until the morning. But I just slept on the floor next to him because I was hoping that when he woke up and saw me there, it would give him the feeling and the impression that we were on the same team. That even though we got into it the night before, that I'm here with you, man, always. And we didn't talk much about it. I didn't express that to him. I just laid there and hoped that he knew that. And because sometimes, like, I don't know, you only need a big lecture. And I don't know if that will have any effect or if it won't, but I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do, and I can only hope, right? I'm not gonna see the fruit of that or how it affects him internally, but he asked me the next day later on in the afternoon. He's like, "Why did you sleep on my floor?" And I was just like, I just wanted to be next to you, man. I just wanted to be with you, and that was all we said about it. And I just hope that it had an effect and impact that he understood that we're on the same team. I'll sleep on the floor with you, man, right beside you. Um, and I don't want this episode to last too long, man. I just wanted to give some thoughts. And the last thing I will say is kind of a caveat and kind of piggybacking off of what I just said is that to be okay with uncertainty, but to accept the fact that you're not in control. We're not in control of how our kids turn out. We just do the best that we can. Your kid doesn't have to be an athlete like you. Your kid doesn't have to be a scholar student. Your kid doesn't have to be, uh, you know, flying to the moon or no shit like that. Like, we're not in control of how it turns out. Let them be who they're gonna be. Do the best you can, and let them be who they're gonna be. And don't don't end up resenting them because they're not who you thought they were gonna turn out to be. Sometimes our kids aren't who we thought they were gonna be. We feel like we raised them a certain way, and they turn out different, and we're like, "Who are you?" Like, I don't even know you. This is not the house you were raised in. This is not who I raised you to be. And our kids, sometimes they don't turn out how they think they should. Hey, let them find their path and understand that you are not in control. Just do what you can and guide them through the process, accept who they become, and love them always. And that's your job as a parent. Your job, and I said this the other day, somebody I was talking to, that if I could sum up my job as a parent, it's to prepare my children for what life is going to be like without me. If I prepared my kids, and there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just me summing it up. If I can prepare them for what life is like when I'm gone, how to live life and succeed and navigate through it, then I've done my job to an extent. Um, just to prepare them for life without me, for what it's gonna bring, because it's a cold world. And life is gonna throw a lot of shit at your kids. And they gotta be ready for that. They gotta be ready to, you know, deal with bullies. They gotta be ready to deal with people trying to get over on them, heartbreak, relationships, everything that this world is gonna throw at them. And all we can do is our best to prepare them for that, not to shelter them, not to baby them, but to guide them for life without you. So understand that you're not in control. Control the things that you can and love them always. I hope you all have been enjoying the podcast so far. I'm going to keep it going as long as I can. I love doing this. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for listening. And that's all I have for you on episode 7 of The Molds That Make Fatherhood. Hope you all have an amazing day, an amazing week. And we got a good one for the next one. I won't share anything about it, but we got a good one. A good friend of mine I interviewed for the next episode. talking about parallel parenting and like building connections with your kids. I thought it was really good. So keep on listening. And if you got any suggestions, feel free to hit me up. If you know me, feel free to, send a message on the YouTube page, whatever. I'm open to suggestions and topics. And go to iTunes, go to Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review. If it's not a 5-star review, hit me up personally. Tell me what can make it a 5-star, and we'll get better. But listen, only 5-star reviews. So I appreciate it, and leave comments. Leave your comments if you want on iTunes or Apple Podcasts with a 5-star review. Tell me what you love about it, and just let me know, because I want to keep this thing going. I love you. I hope y'all have a great day.